Hello, El Paso. Welcome to Philosophical Dialogues from La Frontera, Student Edition, where we will be sharing the fun of the big questions with you. My name is Alisa Ramirez, and I'm an anthropology major. So, with what I'm doing is I'm currently in EMS. Um, I've been in EMT for about 4 months, I would say, not very long into it. But what got me into EMS is that I lost my grandma when I was really young, and I really didn't understand why. So with EMS, that was kind of my way as to help someone else avoid going through what I went through. And just the fulfillment of knowing that you're making a change in someone's day because if they need you, they're calling you on their worst day ever. And with anthropology and EMS, the way I'm hoping to tie it in is, as bad as it sounds, they're very polar opposites of each other. And I mean, you're going over the same thing, except in EMS, your patients are alive. In anthropology, you're kind of studying the opposite. And today I have the honor of speaking with Mr. Rogelio Gutierrez. He has been a paramedic for 16 years and is currently working as a paramedic for Homeland Security and has been a paramedic instructor. So we can go ahead and get started with the questions. So, was it hard for you to put your own morals aside when you began in this field?
Uh, you know, if we look at it, of course we do receive very extensive training, and of course we which includes of course our ethical and moral, which includes our ethical and moral considerations. Therefore, we typically have a solid understanding of how to balance our personal beliefs and of course our responsibilities as a healthcare provider. While every situation may present unique challenges, as a paramedic, we are trained to prioritize patient care above all else, which often can help us navigate our internal conflict we may face.
Okay. Are there times where you feel a deeper connection to cases than you would?
Well, of course, and I'm speaking through as experience and as a paramedic. It is very common that we feel a deeper connection to certain cases more than others, especially those involving children or individuals that may remind us of loved ones. While this can be emotionally taxing on us, it is important for us to remain professional and provide the best possible care for everyone that we are providing care for. It is also important to have a good support system and, of course, utilize such as briefing sessions so that, of course, that we go through any process of within ourselves of these difficult cases, and of course that we may experience all these emotions.
Is there times you had to kind of like step away from cases and like gather yourselves? Because I know that that's been one I struggled with personally, was kind of just like knowing that separation because you're trying to do everything you can, but sometimes things are out of your control.
Mm-hmm. Um, let me see. Can you ask that question again?
It's just no, you're okay. It's just if you've seen yourself if you've caught yourself having to like take a step back and regather yourself if a case gets to be a lot. Like, have you caught
uh,
yourself in that situation?
not at the moment, but I have caught myself possibly after the call. Because again, during the call, it's like, um, kind of not necessarily a blur, but you're basically running on like your general knowledge on almost like instinct. And then afterwards, you kind of say, this is what I did. And did I fulfill everything that I kind of learned? And again, you just kind of like reminisce on it. And of course, you talk to your partner and stuff about these situations and kind of go on.
Okay. How would you say continuing your career in this field has affected you personally from the time you began your career to now?
That's another good question. So, again, over the years working as a paramedic, it has had a very profound impact on, of course, myself personally. It's helped me on my communication skills, and of course, it's helped me significantly. And I have learned how to remain calm and focused, of course, under pressure. The constant exposure to diverse medical emergencies has helped boost my confidence, of course, resilience, and again, I've noticed that my problem solving has improved. However, being constantly exposed to these highly stressful situations, um, again, can be emotionally and mentally draining. And so, which I have learned to improve and prioritize my self care, and of course, seeking any assistance when I need it. And my career in the field has made me a more compassionate, confident, and skilled healthcare professional.
Okay, with how long you've worked in EMS for the past 16 years, I'm sure you've seen a lot of evolving in this career and everything like that. What would you say was the biggest improvement that you saw that you were I don't know how I'm trying to say this. What would you say is like the biggest evolvement from when you first began to what you do now that you've seen has made the biggest difference in your high stress calls?
Mm, I guess being more of a people person. I'm honestly like an introvert. I like to be by myself. I kind of you know do things on my own. But when it's like when I'm on the job, it's like totally opposite. I'm a people person, and again, like I mentioned earlier, my communication skills, and of course, I'm confident on the things I say. Um, I think that's about it.
What's one thing you've learned in your field that you would pass on to future EMTs?
I guess for them to trust their instinct. I know I kind of mentioned it in class sometimes. It's like trust those butterflies in your stomach. Sometimes um, again, it is kind of like an how could I put this? Yeah, your instincts, and never be afraid to ask for a second opinion or for help. And again, we are going to be in situations that are unpredictable. And again, we need to be proactive and again act quickly because again we have lives at stake.
Mhm. So, along with what you would pass on to future EMTs, what would you say is like has been your biggest thing that's helped you get through school and things like that? Was it like a particular way of studying? Was it your hands-on? Or what was it that personally worked for you that you think was like, hey, maybe if this worked for me and you pass it on to others?
Uh, you know, in school, I always had the weirdest way of learning, which was, um, uh, I had to see it for myself, and then I kind of had to review and then see it again. So it was like the repetition type thing, and again, there's many ways of learning. And again, I think that that's the thing that kind of interested me more because it's always something changing. So it's always like a learning process.
And I know you've taught many EMS classes. I was in two of yours, I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say has been like what keeps you going back to that? What keeps you continuing teaching?
What, like basically what drew me to the career and what kept me there?
No, what drew you, well, that as well, but what drew you into continuing to teach? Like, take the time apart, aside from working, to continue teaching
Mm,
future EMTs.
you know, initially, I never saw myself as like a teacher, but it's when I was working there at the hospital and um, they would always put people with me to orient, like time on the job type training. And I always kind of heard everyone say, you know what, you're very patient. You kind of take us step by step. You answer all our questions. And, that kind of grew. And when, you know, the opportunity arose, uh, I kind of said, you know what, I'm going to take this big leap and try it out. And I've been doing it ever since.
Okay. And while we're on that, what drew you towards this career and what keeps you in EMS?
Well, it always has to be a drive, and I heard you mention, Eliza, that, about your grandma. And for myself, well, yeah, it was my big brother that basically it motivated me. Of course, like tragedies, um, and it still hurts, um, and I think that's what drives me.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with you on that one. It's definitely hard. I mean, not only was it with my grandma too, but growing up
Hmm.
a lot, I grew up really sick. I had infant botulism when I was less than a year old. I've had name it like name it. I probably had it: concussion, whiplash,
Hmm.
broken bones. Name it. Like I'm telling you, name it.
Hmm.
And just seeing if you can help these people avoid those situations that you saw yourself in, because you see people when they're most vulnerable. And
Yeah,
I think that really helped.
yeah, and of course, our personal experience, of course, it gives us that strong desire, to help people out. It fulfills us, and again, we are professionals, and of course, we help the community out. And again, we don't, uh, if we're able to help, someone out to where they don't feel that loss, it kind of fills that gap, or that hole in our lives.
So while we're on the topic of motivation, what would you
Hmm.
say was your biggest motivation during school to finish through and get your degrees and certifications that were required for you to fulfill the requirements in this field?
Well, about the degrees and certifications, of course, it's like the overall skills and knowledge so that, we could put that into play when we um, uh, treat patients. And again, in the in the background, of course, it's so that we could move up in our career, um, as in it opens up opportunities, it opens up for personal growth. Uh, and again, me as a teacher, I kind of, I learn something and I teach something, and again, in the long run, not only am I helping myself, but I'm helping you guys to help others.
Mm, okay. And while you're working in the field, how do you shake off your bad calls to clear your mindset for the next one?
um, uh, sometimes it's hard, but there's many like uh, mindful techniques, like for example, breathing techniques, um, like a small session of meditation. Uh, Sometimes, we have a little bit of downtime between calls to where, it's okay to kind of walk away for a little bit, not too far, but maybe walk down in the parking lot, take a couple of breaths, reminisce on what's going on, kind of get your mindset back, and then again, continue on. And of course, your partner is always there. And again, you both kind of like feed off of each other, and talk about things. And again, we all have access to professionals, to where if we need, to talk to a professional, we could always pick up the phone, and we have counseling and stuff.
So I know we talked earlier about how you took that leap of faith when the opportunity arose to become
Hmm.
an EMS instructor. What would be your advice to those that are interested in EMS but are scared to take that leap of faith into the next step?
It's to use, like how you and I used a tragedy, or use like fear as a catapult, to take that leap. Because again, if you don't take that leap, you don't know what you're missing, and you're just gonna be kind of held back, and everyone basically is, jumping out of the plane or jumping off that cliff, and it's the experience, it's that feeling of, that rush, or of the unknown, and I think with that, again, you get to kind of experience life, and so forth. Some people are scared to like travel, and they just say, well, one of these days I'm going to do it. One of these days, and um, it's not. You should just say, I'm going to do it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Most definitely. And over the years, I'm sure you've had your fair share of calls. Probably you're in the hundreds by now with your calls. And
Mhm.
how would you say that your knowledge and experience from that has helped you become the paramedic that you are today?
I'm a lot careful. uh, I kind of learn from other people's experiences, and also like, I always, uh, for example, if class is ending and if it's a holiday, I either write to you guys, hey, be careful, uh, uh, please use designated drivers, so it's helped me in the long run, as in like for me to be careful and always kind of give the best advice to people.
Mm. Okay. And then how you mentioned with your students, do you still keep up with some of your students from EMS? Like I know we do, but from your other class years from when you first started to now.
I sometimes I run into them when we're out like in the field or whatnot. Uh, but it's one of those high type of things, like a real quick high. But not necessarily like keep up with them personally. It's like, I don't know. I would say it's like uh the mama bird, or father bird. Once you hatch, it's like time to fly. And sometimes we're so busy in our careers. Sometimes we don't have time, but when we do run into each other, it's like one of those. It's like hi, But yeah, no, that basically it's like have you guys fly, and there's always other EMTs that fill your spots. So I gotta teach them and concentrate on them and kind of let them know the stories too.
From your previous classes, you kind of share that.
Yes, correct.
So I know you're a paramedic for Homeland Security. How would you say your experience has been there compared to working like with a private ambulance company or depending on like the other companies you've worked for? How would you say right now working for the Homeland Security has worked for you?
It's a little bit different because the people that call 911 and we respond to them on the ambulance, they have access to healthcare, and the people that we treat with Homeland Security, this is their first time, or probably one of the very minimal times that they've actually seen a healthcare provider. So sometimes they, are impressed with, the healthcare system here that we have. Um, as in when we talk to them, when we take their blood pressure, sometimes they're like, no, this is the first time they've ever taken a blood pressure on me.
Hmm.
And again, it's different, because sometimes these people come really sick, and it's like they never had access to a good healthcare, and they have to be worked up, you know.
Hmm. So when we mentioned earlier about working with partners and stuff, like how do you go about when you have a person who's difficult to work with?
I've never had anyone difficult to work with, because again, I'm very flexible, uh, and again, I've always been the one in charge.
Hmm.
So, sometimes what happens is that, uh, we kind of have to put our, um, you know, differences aside, and work towards a common goal, which is, patient care. And again, it's, after a while we become, uh, and honestly, you call them your partner, for some reason. And again, they become your friend, of course, but we kind of like work off of each other. It's just like a marriage, they're your partner, and sometimes it feels weird saying it, but they know a lot about you, more than you know.
Sometimes it's scary how much your partner knows about you. I know I experienced
Yes, yes,
because you just spend so much time with them that you're like, wait, how? I don't remember telling you this. And they just
yes,
ironically, or when you go to certain places, they already know your food order because you go there so often.
exactly, exactly.
So I don't know about you, but personally, I catch myself doing this all the time in public, and I would say it got worse after I did EMT.
Hmm.
Um, but it's wondering what happened to people. Like it sounds really bad, but like with me, I always question like with amputees, I'm like, huh, I wonder what happened that they're on this, or like I wonder why that's like that. I don't know if you've ever caught yourself doing it, because I know I do.
But honestly, it's kind of weird because, you do patient assessments on people that are not even patients.
Yeah.
So you could be walking through Walmart, and you're looking at, I don't know, someone's grandma, and you're like, she might have high blood pressure, or diabetes. Or, you see someone, and you're like, oh, they're not walking right. I wonder what's wrong with their leg, things
Hmm.
like that. Hmm.
So on that topic, I know too, I've gotten into the bad habit of like self-diagnosing.
Yes.
Where I'm like, this is
We're the
wrong.
worst patients.
Where one thing goes wrong, and then I'm like, wait, but this is also a symptom of this, but then it could also be the onset of this, but it could be the after of this. And
Yes,
it's just kind of
exactly.
like, instead of going into like a Wikipedia or like a, what is it, the Google Doctor, whatever they called it.
Or going to the doctor.
Yeah,
uh,
I try and avoid.
basically, yes, basically we're almost dying by the time we get to the doctor, because again, we also know the cost of healthcare.
Mhm.
We're like, oh my gosh, the doctor's going to cost so much, and this and that. And it's like, no, I'm going to self-treat. And when it's time to go, it's time to go, to the hospital or to the doctor.
Yeah, most definitely. You try and put it off to the last possible minute, and then the last
Ye-
possible minute comes, and you still don't even know when it goes.
yes, exactly.
Um, I think we're actually good then.
Yes, it was interesting. It kind of like made me think, because sometimes you get in this mindset of work, 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 work. And, it's when you actually sit down with someone and you talk about what you've done. That's, that's the, that's the interesting part, to where actually you slowed down to kind of think of, this is what I've done. And that's the cool part.
Is once you take that step back and you realize what's actually happened, because your mind's just on work 24/7.
Correct. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for this. Has been Philosophical Dialogues from La Frontera Student Edition. My name is Alisa Ramirez, and our guest is Mr. Rogelio Gutierrez. Please join us next time.